how to have a pain-free, healthy back. This is a summary of Huberman's episode with Dr. McGill. Dr. McGill has 3 exercises for back health that he calls them the big 3. I will go through them in a minute, but before that, let me explain what are we working on. The main focus of these exercises is on core stability, because when you look at the spine, it is connected to shoulders and to the hips, and these are ball and socket joints. They have a lot of mobility in them. Think of a crane. It has a mobile arm supported by a strong, stable base. Similarly, a stable core allows for better mobility in your hips and shoulders while keeping your spine safe. Your core protects and supports the spine and minimizes pressure on the discs. So as we go through these exercises, remember to keep your core engaged and your spine neutral. So let's get started. The first exercise in the McGill's Big 3 is curl up. Lie down on your back with both knees up. Place your hands, palms down, under your lower back. Extend one leg, keeping the other knee bent. Lift your chest slightly off the ground, and you should feel it in your core. Keep looking at the ceiling. The hands on the lower back help you maintain the natural arch. Your aim is to strengthen your core without rounding the lower back. This is why this exercise is better than crunches, because in crunches, the lower back gets rounded. But here we are training the core to support the spine while keeping the spine neutral and safe. Hold for a few seconds, switch legs, and repeat. Avoid tucking your chin too much. Lead with your chest, not with your head. You should feel it in your abs. Moving on to the second exercise, side plank. There are several progressions for the side plank. To start, lie on your side with your elbow down. Bend your knees, stack your feet, and lift your hips off the ground. Your elbow is under your shoulder. Keep your feet in line with your body, not behind. Lift your hips and keep your body straight. If the first version feels easy, straighten your legs, staggered, one in front of the other. Your elbow is under your shoulder. Engage your core, lift your hips, and push down with your elbow and feet. Engage your core. Don't let your hips sag. Lift them up in line with the body. Hold for 10 seconds, rest, and switch sides. If this version is easy, then move on to the next progression. Instead of your elbow, push down with your hand for more difficulty. Your arm is straight and is under your shoulder. Engage your core. Don't let your hips sag. Lift them up in line with the body. For the next progression, stack your feet on top of each other. For an extra challenge, lift your top leg and arm. What we are looking for is control and stability, so progress at your own pace. To make this even harder, use your fist. To keep your balance, you need to actively push the ground with any point of contact that you have with the ground. Whether it is your hand or the edge of your foot, you need to actively push down. The third exercise of McGill's Big 3 is bird dog. Get into all fours or quadruped position. Keep your toes flexed to protect your knees. Don't arch or round your back. Keep your spine neutral. Engage your core and raise one leg. Don't lift too high. Keep it in line with your body or lower to maintain a neutral spine. Push down with one arm to lift the other arm. Keep your core engaged throughout the exercise. If this was easy, let's do the next level. Push down with one arm and its opposite leg. Engage your core and lift the other arm and leg. Hold for 10 seconds. Then switch sides. If this was easy, let's do the next progression. To make it harder, make small circles or squares with your extended arm. You can do that with your leg as well and in both directions. The next progression is hand to knee touch. Slowly bring your extended hand to your knee, then extend back out. Move it slowly while keeping your core engaged and spine neutral. Avoid rounding your back. This is a common mistake. Focus on maintaining a neutral back and engaging your core. Focus on control, stabilizing the movement over speed, and just getting it done. Don't forget to switch sides and repeat. They also talked about deadlifts, and he said that he loves deadlifts, but you got to be very careful with it. Why it is a good exercise? Because it's a very neurologically dense exercise. You need to recruit all your muscles, every single muscle in your body. You need to use that to do the deadlift. But he said you got to be careful. His young clients, people who are under the age of 30, when they come to him and they're complaining about back pain, at least half of them, they are saying that they started with a deadlift. The problem is fast progression. The problem is ego lifting. lifting just to look good on social media. Or we have these trainers that they want to bring someone from unfit stage, from someone who has never done a deadlift. They want to bring that from a zero to hero in 6 months. But the biggest change in this exercise is the bone density. And you're not going to have enough bone density created within 6 months. And when you look at successful deadlifters, they are not very young. It takes years to create that bone density. One of the things he's teaching these individuals is to do a hip hinge. Hip hinge means you're not rounding your back and you're not excessively arching your back. You're keeping it neutral and you're actually just hinging. He says that many people are not hip hinging the right way. So watch a few YouTube videos, film yourself from different angles, make sure that you're hip hinging the right way. The second thing is that he thinks many people are doing it wrong is that not so many people should be lifting from the ground. Olympic weightlifting plates, they are designed in a way, the diameter, if you were lying on the ground, it would clear your face, this distance, okay? But that doesn't mean anything. You need to record yourself and see how low you can go, how deep you can squat and deadlift, both of them, how deep you can go without rounding your back. That's depending on your hip socket. There are so many different things that contribute to your biomechanics, and don't push that range. If you don't have the mobility to go there, then don't go there. And also it's about the stability too. So you may have a mobility to go there, but you don't have a stability. You're not stable in that position. Personally, when I'm doing deadlifts, I put in a block. Many people need to bring the bar higher to do the deadlift, and they shouldn't be doing it from the ground. The training intensity depends on the age, on the history of injury, on the body type, and on the genetics, as we talked about. Younger people can train harder, they recover faster, they get less injured. But one thing that young people need to know is to train wise, not just hard. Because if you get injured, then an injury has a far greater negative impact than the short-term benefits of pushing hard. Work on your muscles, but protect your joints. Protecting your joints means you're going to have better mobility and strength later in life. If you push too hard and damage your joints, at some point, a very simple exercise, a very simple movement can cause pain. So train wisely to stay strong for a long run. Also, don't train to your max every single day. Even when you look at the elite level athletes, they are not pushing to their max every day, because if you want to set a record for deadlifting, you cannot deadlift to the max every day. That will gas you out before even getting to the day of setting the record. So you need to train hard certain days, have your recovery day, or do auxiliary exercises that is not exactly deadlifting, but is working on supporting muscles. So you need to manage it and you need to pace yourself in the training. Dr. McGill talked about when people come to him and are complaining of pain and they want to do a surgery and they say, nothing has worked for me. I have been in this pain for a long amount of time. I'm done with this. I'm going to do a surgery. He says, okay, surgery can be always done. Surgery is there. But for now, let's do a virtual surgery. Let's see if that works. And this is how he would do a virtual surgery. He would gently touch the patient on the shoulder with a hand or a knife and would say, this is your surgery. This is it. You have done a surgery. Go home and sleep for this amount of days. Then the next days, you got to just get up and have a minute of a walk. And then the next week, we're going to have slowly a rehab. And he said, we're going to have a perfect rehab plan for you. And this would work for them. Why? These athletes have been in pain for a long duration of time. They have been training in pain, even their rest days were in pain. So they don't know anymore what activities, what load, intensity, what type of things would cause the pain. What's the mechanism of the pain? They just know that I'm in pain forever and I need to do a surgery. Interestingly, 95% of the patients who went through this virtual surgery and avoided the surgery, in 2 years follow-up, they were happy that they did it this way. Because in this post-surgery recovery program, he would first work on the stability, after that on the mobility, then endurance, and then strength. And he wouldn't rush the athlete to do any of these. So now that the body has recovered and is not in pain anymore, and now that we're slowly introducing things back, then we can measure at what level of intensity, in what activity, in what load, you are now hitting the threshold of the pain. It is true that for our physical body, we need some level of stress. We need to push ourselves to. But in this case, when people are in pain, we shouldn't start early. We need to give them enough time and slowly introduce things So we're building a margin of safety. And then when we are getting to the level that the athlete can get back to their sport, or that person can get back to their job, or they get their life back. So once they're at that level, then we slowly add their training load, the training frequency, and at some point we find that threshold, that tipping point, that if we pass that level, the pain is going to be present. So now we know that this is the load intensity frequency. This is what causes pain. Now this opens the discussion that, are you happy where you are, you're pain-free, and this is your level of performance? Or you want to sacrifice and trade it off for 5% more or 10% more on lifting heavier or running faster, and then you're going to be in pain. Usually the strategy of a younger person is to tolerate a little bit of a pain because they really want to win this competition. But someone in their 50s may think, I want to be pain-free. I'm not competing with anyone. I just want to have an active life. I want to have a pain-free life. And in 20 years, I want to play with my grandchildren. So I'm happy to forego that few percent of extra performance for a pain-free back. They also talked about walking as one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself. But do not walk to pain. If walking will cause pain for you after 30 minutes, then do not walk past that time. Then if you want to walk for an hour, split your sessions into few chunks that you will walk without any pain and you have a guaranteed success. There are people who cannot sit and stand for long. In this case, the sit-stand desk is a perfect choice for them. The other things that he does, that I'm just going to read. So he does more power pushes. And it might be that because of his age, because as we're getting older, we lose more of our power capacity faster than the strength and even the size of our muscles. We are losing our fast twitch fibers very much faster. So maybe because of his age, he does more dynamic power pushes. So instead of a heavy load push like a push-up, he does a clapping push-up. Or instead of a row, he does an inverted row with a TRX that he does it explosively. So what does that mean? If inverted row, so he's lying down here and the TRX is on the bar and he pushes through like very explosively rather than doing just a normal row. He's doing a split squat, rear elevated foot, and when you're in a split, you're adding a little bit of a balance challenge. And it's understandable because in that age, the biggest danger for you now is fall and breaking a bone. And once you break a bone, then you need a recovery time. And once you do recovery, now you're losing muscle mass. So you might be surprised, but the number one cause of accidental deaths in elderly is fall. So balance work, power work. Why power matters? Because as you are falling, you need a fast twitch fiber to bring your foot in front of you and step on that foot so you are catching yourself. That's why power and this explosiveness that you can generate a quick motion and put your foot in front of you to catch you, that matters for the elderly. They also talked about a few things that happens as we age. One of them we already talked about is about how to prevent falls, because falls become very dangerous. We need to work on our balance. We need to work on the power generation and fast twitch fibers. And the second thing they talked about is we shrink as we age. The height between the discs is shrinking and there's not much that we can do about it. Even the inversion boots or all these things that we may think like we elongated our spine, we did some stretching, their impact is very temporary. They also talked about PRP injections and how it is useful for hair growth, for better skin, for stubborn muscle tear, and also the ball and socket joints. They can be very helpful. They can create a measurable difference, but they cannot be injected into the disc. And nothing has been found that could counteract the shrinking that we experience as we age. And Dr. McGill mentioned that if there is no trauma or injury to the spine, you may be able to do more variety of activities and exercises. But once there's a trauma or injury to the spine, which most people have to some degree, then you need to choose certain type of activities and you need to tamper down other things and you need to manage the symptoms within what you have, and it becomes a game of management at some point. If you learned something new, give this a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Bye!